Welcome to the Leafy Podcast, helping real estate investors and entrepreneurs grow. Say hello to your hosts, Jennifer Gligoric and Brian Price, founders of Leafy Legal Services, teaching you how to protect your assets, grow your business, and manage your wealth. Let's start the show.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Leafy Podcast. Thank you so much for joining us today. Today, we've got our host, CEO, and COO of Leafy Legal Services, Brian Price and Jennifer Gligoric on the line with us. And they have an amazing guest that I am so excited for them to talk to. So I will go ahead and turn it over to Jennifer and Brian so they can get us started.
Well, hey there, everybody at our Leafy Podcast. So we have a really great guest today. It's going to be a real fun talk, I can already tell, because she is the real estate investor goddess. She also calls herself a recovered attorney, so I kind of like that one. We'll hear about that a little bit more. She's a real estate investor, syndicator. She's got 14 years of real estate investing experience, multifamily, mobile home parks, RVs, flipping, you name it. We're about to hear a whole bunch of great education. And what's even better is her mission, which is to help 1 million women achieve financial freedom through real estate. And she has a big event coming up. So let's give a big round of applause to Monick. Monick, welcome.
Welcome, Monick. Awesome. Well, I'm especially excited because I think part of your story, and I think our listeners would be interested in hearing, has to do with investing, starting getting real estate investing in Los Angeles was where I got my start and actually got my shirt handed to me as well. So why don't you kind of give us an idea of how you got started and kind of how you got into real estate after, getting in as you were a lawyer and things like that.
Yeah, so I got into real estate completely by accident. I'd never been told anything about real estate investing. Only thing I'd ever been taught was to buy your own home. You get a job, you buy a home. That was it. That was the story with real estate. So this was 2005, towards the top of the last bubble. And I thought, okay, well, I guess, I have a job. It's time to buy a home. And in Los Angeles in 2005, it's even worse now, but at the time, a semi-decent house in a semi-decent neighborhood, Brian, was upwards of $600,000, $700,000. I'm not talking about a mansion in Beverly Hills. I'm talking about an area where you're not going to have drive-by shootings, right? And this is like in a modest house.
Oh my God, that is so weird because that price home would get you Beverly Hills where I'm at. That's crazy. $600,000 for no drive-bys. And I'm like, what? Okay, so I'm going to squelch that while y'all talk about your Cali. And you keep on.
Yeah, I'm not talking about Bel Air, Beverly Hills. I'm talking about, like a B-class neighborhood in a, just modest house. So as I was working as an attorney, and I had a pretty good salary, but not good enough to buy a house by myself at that price point. And a friend of mine who was in a similar boat suggested that we buy a duplex together. The original idea being he would live on one side, I'd live on the other side. Which I thought, well, I could buy half a house. So yeah, let's do that. And instead of finding a house with two equal sides, we ended up finding this beautiful old Craftsman that had a larger bottom unit. It was a 2-bedroom upstairs. And then there was a converted garage in the back. And, we bought that house, and instead of each taking a separate unit, we took a bedroom in the bottom unit. And then we rented out the upstairs. We ended up renting out that back house, even rented out our basement. And before I knew it, we were house hacking. I didn't know that was a thing. That was just, so I became an accidental landlord, but very happy because it's like, wait, these people are paying my mortgage. It's awesome. And I got tax benefits. So I was stoked. Still wasn't thinking about doing this as a career. It was just like, that was my place to live. And it happened to make me a little money. And then when I met my husband, he had a duplex, and then we got a single family rental together. After the economy crash, we did end up losing one property. We sold the duplex, and then we had some money we started flipping when houses were on sale. And we did that until about 2015. And at that point, houses were not quite as in sale anymore. It was very competitive. And flipping is a short-term job, right? So you do it, and then hopefully you make some money at the end, and then you have to start over. And I wanted something more passive. And we started looking for a fourplex in LA. And nothing, and again, it's like I'm looking at over $2 million, no cash flow. Nothing made sense. And around that time, I met Robert Helms of the Real Estate Guys radio podcast through a mutual friend. And he was asking me what I was doing. I told him about the flipping and looking for this fourplex. And he said two things that were really like transformed everything and just skyrocketed my real estate career, like just changed my life, that one conversation. And the first thing he said was, LA is a really tough market. I always say, live where you want to live, invest where the numbers make sense. And I went, oh, it never crossed my mind that I could do that. Like, I always thought, invest so we could drive to your property, touch it, self-manage it. It just never, like, that was the first time I'd ever heard of that. And I was like, oh, so that literally opened up the world to me.
Yeah.
And the other thing he said was, oh, and you can buy that fourplex by yourselves, but you're limited to your own capital and credit. He said, alternatively, you could bring a group of investors together. And instead of 4 units, you could get 100 or 200 units. And then he started telling me about the benefits of that. And my head was like, mind blown. Like, what? That's a thing? Like, you can do that? Until that point, I thought you needed Donald Trump's bank account to do that kind of thing. I had no idea that was like possible for regular people. And I went home that night, told my husband, like, there's this thing, it's called syndication. Like, we got to learn how to do that. So that was October 2015. I met him. October 2016, we went to the Real Estate Guys Secrets of Successful Syndication seminar. And then we started getting into syndication. In 2016, that 1 year, we got over 1,000 units by like syndicating investors together, and probably spending less than we would on that one fourplex in LA, like ourselves. A lot more real estate, a lot more benefits, a lot more cash flow, that's for sure. And then we were also able to help a lot of other people. So and then since then, that's been my focus on syndicating.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, because I had 2 houses in LA. One was our primary residence. We lived in Whittier. And the other one that we're renting out was in Santa Fe Springs. And I don't know if those were considered B neighborhoods. Some of them were C or maybe below. But yeah, I mean, we got underneath water. And unfortunately, I didn't get out, without some pretty good scrapes and bruises on that. So I'm glad you got out and you're well on your way. And so that's awesome. So if someone is going to start out today and get started, what would you suggest someone to do?
Oh, so it depends. I would say real estate investing is not one size fits all, right? So I would say the first thing you want to do is figure out what's your why. What do you want to get out of real estate? Where do you want it to take you? And I liken it to somebody asking, so I want to go on vacation. What's my first step? It's like, well, where are you going? If you're going to go to the next town over, it's a little different than if you're going to Antarctica, which is different than Hawaii. So all of those are going to require different steps. And depending on where you are and where you want to go and how you want to go. So if you're going to cruise versus fly, or you want a bicycle, all of those will require different steps. So when you're talking about real estate, it's just, do you want cash? Do you want to be able to retire from your job and you have passive income streams? Do you want to set yourself up for retirement? Do you want to leave a legacy for your kids? Do you want tax benefits? Those things might, depending on your big why, that'll require different paths. So that's the first thing, to really get clear on where you're wanting to go, where you want real estate to take you, and then how do you want to play? So a lot of people don't want to do this game dealing with the 3 T's, tenants, termites, toilets. They want to, they may want to invest passively, which I didn't realize was a thing either before, that you can get invested in real estate, have your money working for you, making you often better returns than you could if you were doing it yourself, especially in a market like LA. But you can invest passively. You love taking an ugly duckling, making it beautiful, and that's what you like. Or you don't even want to touch the paper. You just the house. You want to just play with notes and do it that way. So it's the how you want to be on your journey. And when, once you have that clarity, then getting education, I think it's the next piece.
I think it's important to note that, like, when she says, do you want tax benefits? You want to retire? You want to do that? Most people go, yes, 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 yes. They'll just yes through the entire list, and then they're just back where they started. So some of it needs to, you need to talk to mentors. You need to do your education, because those yeses will change really depending on your situation, how much money you have, how you personally handle money, where your strengths lie. And you've even written a handbook on this, haven't you? The Real Estate Investor Goddess Handbook and Wealth for Women, Conversations with the Team That Creates the Dream. So that is a #1 best-selling handbook, correct? And where can they get that?
Separate books.
Oh, two separate books. I'm sorry. I'm like making it the longest title on the face of the planet. Sorry about that.
That's all right. So they're both available on Amazon. The Real Estate Investor Goddess Handbook. It's this primer, how do you get started, especially as a woman, because as women we think a little different. We're not just chromosomally different. Our brains are different, and how we approach money and investing and are different. So there's that book, and then there's Wealth for Women, Conversations with the Team That Creates a Dream, and that's a compilation book of all of these brought together a bunch of different women all doing different things in real estate, but women who help other investors, all from a CPA and a contractor to people who help you invest in mobile homes or land. And so it's just this great team of, potential team of amazing women.
Well, that's wonderful. I'm so glad that there are resources like that out there, because there's books for everyone to get in. So if you have like the Contractor's Guide, to becoming a real estate investor, the Plumber's Guide, you have all of that breaking down for everybody. And it's great that there's one for women. This is what you're doing. And you can even break it down even further to be able to reach this niche, because it does seem like a lot of people think, oh yeah, you got to be Trump to do that. Or I have to have, $100,000 just sitting there, and then houses in my area are $700,000. So that's not going to get me anywhere. And then then they're listening to this, they hear you. And by the way, I don't think I said your full name. It's Monick Halm, Halm. And so I just called you by Monique. Like, everybody's just supposed to know who she is, right? Okay. Eventually you'll be a one name moniker, right? And she's the realestateinvestorgoddess.com, by the way, realestateinvestorgoddess.com.
Actually, it's the Real Estate Investor Goddesses, plural.
Oh, goddesses.com.
So
because we all can be goddesses.
Women. We're all goddesses. So
yes. Okay. I love that. So what do you think was your biggest breakthrough? Do you think is when you had that talk and you realized about syndication and that you could expand so rapidly? Or do you feel the break was earlier, or maybe even the break is coming up? Like, where do you think was your biggest aha moment so far?
Oh, the biggest. That conversation was definitely one of the biggest ones for me. I think earlier was probably reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad and learning about like, ooh, what? That's an asset. That's not an asset. And so that was a big aha for me. But I think that conversation that I had with Robert Helms, that was probably, I don't know if you had these moments in your life where you just like, that is when you see like the path veers and it just takes you in this whole other direction. And something new and really fabulous opens up. That was that moment for me. And
those are great moments.
Two paradigm shifts that I got from that.
So going back to kind of women in real estate and kind of opening that up a bit, when it comes to, women in real estate, what would you say would be ways that women could accelerate their success in the real estate industry in some ways that maybe not that normally would be known?
Yeah, so I teach about this goddess secret sauce, which I think for women
I love this.
Important. Okay. And so the first part of the secret sauce for women is pleasure. So a lot of times we're taught, we gotta man up, muscle through, like no pain, no gain. But that's a very masculine way of being. It doesn't work for women. For women, instead of muscling through, it works much better if we pleasure through, and figuring out ways to add pleasure. Either you need a pleasure break. So I find if I'm banging my head against the wall, I need a pleasure break. I need to maybe go do a little dance or get a massage or have a sensual session with my husband or something. I love some pleasure, massage, a mani-pedi, pleasure. And then I come back to it and I'll get like the perfect phone call, or I get the idea that I needed, or something like opens up from that. Or sometimes I have to pleasure through and I have to stick to it, but I can put on a tiara and my favorite music and then like find a way to make the situation more pleasurable. For women, pleasure is a huge tool. The next thing for us is our intuition. There's a reason they talk about women's intuition. It's very strong. So our brains, we connect to both sides of the brains in a way that men's do not. We really do have this very strong intuitive guidance. We are receiving things on this subconscious and superconscious level that is powerful, but we're not taught to listen to, and because it's not logical. And so we discount a lot of this guidance and inner knowingness that we have, that if we were to tap into and tune into, really opens up and our lives in magical and beautiful ways. So our intuition is a second piece. Third is mindset. So shifting the beliefs that we think to serve us better. So a lot of times we have limiting beliefs around wealth, or what wealthy people are, and money is the root of all evil. If any of those things are floating in your head, money is the root of all evil, or rich people are greedy, or any of that stuff.
We have entire episodes about the mindset of money, because so many of us have a poverty mindset that it wasn't a poverty mindset to our parents or our grandparents that save. You get this one thing, you pay it all off, and then we're like, how come I'm not qualifying? Well, you're not considered a professional borrower. I mean, we just had our minds blown just a week ago by another guest who's like, if you're a professional consumer, not a professional borrower, I can teach you how to change your habits to where the algorithms will like you. What algorithms?
That's awesome.
Like, we're just not even taught about this. And by the way, don't discount wearing a tiara when you're doing your chores around the house. There is nothing more fabulous than that helps washing dishes. FYI.
I don't think I'm going to take that advice, Jennifer. I appreciate it.
But you'd be so cute. Okay, fine. Well, your beer. What about one of those hats that has two beers on each side? And then you come up with a spigot in.
A nice man brown. How about that?
That's right.
All right.
King.
To each his own.
Oh,
well, that works. This is part of the womanly piece of it.
No,
so,
that's great. So what other parts are there to
And the
this?
last piece is sisterhood. So women, we are hardwired to actually be in community with other women. That is something that's important for us. Oxytocin, this is this feel-good hormone, floods our brains in three ways. One, where we're breastfeeding. Two, when we're making love. And three, when we are in community, when we are in groups of women or physically around women. So our brain is like, wee, so happy this is good for you. And we learn better that way, and and it de-stresses us. So that sisterhood piece is super important for women. A lot of women don't necessarily have like this huge community of sisters, but that's what a real estate investor guys is. We're creating this sisterhood of women and investors.
Okay, well, that's very cool. I think that could probably be used in any kind of business, in any way. So that's great advice for women to, I think to really hone in on that, because I don't think, most of the advice out there is usually geared towards men.
Yeah, it's soldier through it, just feel the burn and all these other things. And we're like, I already have kids. I think I felt enough burn, I mean, really, there's a lot of parts that, about just being a mom that are not fun, and they're endemic to the moms. I know dads get it a little bit, but it is different, and so when you can change things, the world is how you make it. And when your mindset shifts to, it is my choice how I choose to live this moment, or how I choose to experience this moment, whether it is a great moment or a bad moment or a very challenging moment, when you can take back that power and be empowered in that, in your own, feminine power, I think that can really change things for you. And so you can apply this in anything if you're a female entrepreneur. And I just love that you've done this, and you've been able to do it in such an industry that's pretty much male dominated, but in a way that can open up so much for other women, because every time you make a house a livable thing that's no longer leaching lead into the ground and all the other bad things that you do, you're helping a family move in and create a new life, and you're helping with homelessness, and you're enriching yourself in the process. And so this idea of a slumlord, well, that's just 1980s, last century BS. The way it can be done now can still be just as beneficial and happy. So I just love this. So it's pleasure, intuition, mindset, and sisterhood, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, keep on telling us, keep on dropping truth bombs. What else?
Well, that was the secret sauce. But you did bring up this beautiful point, and it's part of our mission and how we teach in terms of when we invest, we only invest where we can leave a property in a community better than we found it. So that and I think that's actually really important for a lot of women too. That's not just about money. For most women, after their needs are met, they think to give back. They give back to their families, they give back to their communities, and they give back to the world, which is probably why I'm focusing on women, because I know that if I help women become financially free, I help everybody, because women, or because of how we're wired, we're going to bring our kids and our men and our, and our communities with us. And that's this ripple effect. But that's our focus, is really on, and then when we're investing, though, to invest in ways that are win-win and that really uplift everybody touched by our deals.
Well, that's amazing. You talk about that, and I think it's a global shift. I had another phone call today with someone who worked for Merrill Lynch, and I'm probably going to have them on and talk to certain investors, because there's annuities and things like that help investors. I'm actually looking down at my notes right now. And he just told me they went to a conference saying that the newest thing, and the thing that's going to be what people are going to want to invest in, and companies now are going to try to be, are called ESG investments. And I said, well, what does that mean? He goes, they're environmental, meaning they're good for the environment. They're social, meaning these companies treat their employees well. And therefore, those employees are going to give you a lot better service. So they're going to have things like daycare on site. They're going to be socially responsible. They're going to pay living wages to everyone. And then G, the way they have governance over themselves, and that the CEOs, they are not making these exorbitant, CEO pay scales since the 70s have risen over 900%, outpacing that of a worker. So if they are an ESG initiative and they can prove that, then people are going to want to invest in it. So many people have said, I want to be more socially responsible with how I make my stocks and investments for their 401ks and stuff like that. They've had to create this. And so this is going to be a new hot thing that's going to be coming up within the next 20 years. So I think that that's wonderful. As much as we hear all of this, greed, quid pro quo, all these little things like that, there's a push of humanity saying, we're going to do something different. And I love that. And I love that you're on the push for that. So that's really great. So when I was going to go back to syndication for you, since that was your biggest aha moment. Mm-hmm. What was the scariest thing about going into syndication for you after hearing all this stuff? Or was it not scary and just like, duh, why haven't I been doing it?
The scariest thing is taking other people's money, right? So, and making sure that it grows, because it's one thing to take, to use your own money and you're investing it, and it could could win, could make money or lose money or whatever. Nobody wants to lose money. But the thought of losing other people's money, that is something that keeps me up at night, right? So really, I care about my own money, but other people's money is like, and I believe in relationships for life. So I want to be able to work with my investors, like deal after deal after, with everybody I work with. I want to be able to have a lifetime relationship with them. It's not transactional. So the scariest thing is really, it's like, how well can I be a steward of this money? And, and I've had deals that didn't go as planned. Right? And luckily, knock on wood, haven't lost anybody any money yet. I did have a couple of deals where it didn't make as much money as we'd hoped, but, we've still never lost money. But probably over, a long career at some point that might happen. It's likely to happen. But, so that's the scariest part. It's like, because, people are entrusting in their hard-earned, their hard-earned savings as their energy. And so wanting to do right by them, that's the most important thing for me.
So how did you get through that fear once you had it? What were the things you did in order to kind of get through over that? Or
that's still my fear. That is still like, if there's something that's not working as better than I'd hoped according to plan, like that, those are the things that keep me up at night. So it's not that I've gotten rid of that. I'm over that. I just, one of my mentors told me, it's like, that actually makes you a great syndicator, because you don't want to, you don't want people who don't care about other people's money, right? Who aren't afraid of losing their money and aren't like, that's not something that concerns them. Like, those aren't the people you want in syndicating. It's like, you actually want to, it's like, it's a good thing that you're really concerned about like how other people's money will grow and taking the best care of their funds and of them as possible. So he's like, that's okay. But I haven't let it stop me from moving forward. Right. So I still, and when he told me that it did help, it's like, okay, all right. Yeah. So I do care. So I will do everything in my humanly possible to make things work the best for my investors as possible. So I use that fear not to keep me back, but just to like really keep me working as hard as possible, keep me growing, keep me learning, keep me, reaching for excellence.
Very cool.
How would you say that your portfolio has shifted from when you first started in your house hacking, you didn't even realize you were house hacking, to now having it was 1,000 rentals across 5 states? Have you strictly moved to multifamily, or do you still have a mix of buy and holds? Where's your business at now?
Yeah, so we're open to different asset classes, and we have a variety of asset classes. Right now, we have a mobile home park and an RV park. We also have quite a lot of multifamily. So we have a little over 1,300 units at this point, 900 of which are multifamily. But we have we have some industrial property, and then we have a portfolio of single family homes that we have a turnkey business as well. So we have a fund that buys homes, fixes them up, puts in tenants, and then we resell them to investors as turnkey properties. So I'm in different niches. Multifamily is very hot, often overpriced. So we did do two multifamily deals last year, but it's more and more challenging to find ones that are making sense. So I'm definitely we're open. We're looking at different asset classes that make the most sense for our investors. And we're more on the fundraising side than operations side at this point. We've done operations, and it's like, that's not my favorite. I like being more on the fundraising side. I love learning about all different types of real estate, and I like being able to do a bunch of different things. the being on the fundraising side allows me to have a little more breadth and not have to be as deep, because I work with amazing partners who have that depth, decades of depth in what they're doing. So I can, so we're partnering with people that are amazing at what they do, and the deals make sense for us, for our investors. And so we'll bring our investors to different deals. So that's why we can be broader in our asset class distribution than if we were doing everything ourselves.
Yeah. So what would you say to a woman who looks at your background? So you're a certified interior designer, feng shui, you're a recovered attorney, then you're this world traveler and this guru, and they're just like, I'm a little intimidated. Like, how can I be a real estate person when she obviously has just this wealth of talent and experience, and a lot of it seems to be involved in the real estate niche? What if you just know that that's a smart business model and you think you want to get a couple of houses, but you're not sure? So what would you say to someone like that who's like, I'm pretty intimidated, maybe I can't do it, or what?
Yeah. So, so where I am now is 14 years, almost 15 years after I've begun, right? So okay. I'm not, this is not where I started. I started with one duplex that I wasn't even thinking about being a landlord for, that I happened to accidentally become a landlord for. Mm-hmm. So understand that you start where you start. And at the beginning, you're a beginner. And that's, so everybody who, you're looking like, oh my gosh, this is where they are. It's like, that's not where they started. I only know one person who was actually born into a big real estate portfolio. So some people are lucky enough to be born into it. But most of us we've had to, scrape and, do it however we can. And so for people, I also have a podcast, Real Estate Investor Goddesses podcast, and I interview different women, all successful women in real estate investing, who share their stories and the first question I always ask, how did you get started? And there are a bunch of different ways. And so listening to that, I think, is really helpful for women, because I've had, there's one of my guests, and actually since becoming my business partner, she was homeless before she got her first property, literally in her car with her dog, homeless. Other ones that were single moms making minimum wage, who got into real estate, and grandmothers who started, and other ones who started when they're 18, and all different, the whole gamut. You can always find an example of somebody who's well, what about me? I'm whatever. It's like, okay, well, here's some, here she was divorced with 3 kids, and then she did it. Or this person, so there are a lot of examples of that. And then also at my events, this is something that you mentioned earlier, I have a Wealth Through Real Estate event, which is for women. Women. So often you go to a real estate event, typically maybe 90+% of the room is men, often. Yeah. 100% of the speakers are men, maybe one woman. And so this is an event just for women. So we have several hundred women in the room, all women on stage, and all different types of asset class, really incredible, very, very different races and ages, and it's just everything. So one of the comments we get a lot, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm so inspired because I saw somebody that looked like me. It reminded me of me. So even this young woman that's doing this amazing thing, or this grandmother that's doing some amazing things, or this, this woman who lost 20 million and now is creating this, or this person who's a first, an immigrant and has created this. So there's a lot to inspire, and it's just, seeing, sometimes it helps just to see examples of other people doing what you're doing. That have a similar background, and you can go, okay, if she's done it, I can too.
Yeah, that's great. And it's in April, right? What's the dates of your event?
April 17th through 19th, and it's in Los Angeles.
Awesome. Okay. And we're going to have a link to that too in here. And so we'll be able to, anybody that's listening, any women that are listening, can, click on the link and, get to your event. I think it's a great thing to do, because especially if you're a woman getting started, I think if want to be with like-minded people and who can relate to your situation. So I think that's wonderful.
Yeah, that's why I asked that question, because I know that when I'm talking to people, I even get that. And I'm like, no, you don't understand, because we have the podcast. And I'll say, you've got this story and this guy and this kid did it in high school. I can't tell them Chris Nagel's story. And I'm like, this and this and this. And it makes a difference when you're like, no, this wasn't 50 years ago. This is now in this economy right now in your situation. You can do it. Don't listen to all those negative voices, or if it's just in your head, what do they call it? I think the itty bitty, I guess I can't say it, itty bitty like crappy committee. There's like this thing about it. And they're like, no, you can't. Remember that one time in third grade and you got up on stage and you screwed it all up? Well, you still can't do it. Like these silly things we tell ourselves. And you have to, and so I love the fact that you have such a wide variety of people that the women can go to in LA, by the way, April 17th and 19th, can go and listen to stories and realize that I am just a couple of decisions away from being up on that stage eventually. So that's awesome. Yeah. Well, we're going to have to wrap up, even though I don't want to. I never want to when it's somebody great like Monick Halm. And so she's with realestateinvestorgoddesses.com. And if you have anything you want to send us out on, please do so now.
Oh. I wasn't prepared for that question. It's like, what? I want to thank you. Thank you both, all three of you, for what you're doing, and that, how you are inspiring people to get into this game and, build wealth, change their lives. So I just want to thank you for having me. I'm really honored to have been on the show.
Well, it's been great. Awesome. It has been so much fun. Okay, Tammy, we have to wrap it up, even though I want to stay and hang out, but go ahead. Tell everybody how they can get all the great information, and they can go to LA or download her books, which are both on Amazon.com, and how they can do all that.
Absolutely. And thank you again, Monick, for being on, and Jennifer and Brian for hosting today's show. And yes, I will have the conference links for Monique's conference, and also her books download, and also how you can just reach out and connect with her and learn more about everything going on with the Investor Goddesses. So thank you everyone for listening. You can find us anywhere that podcasts are heard, on iTunes, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Spotify. We're everywhere. And if you'd like to find us on social media, we are at Leafy Legal. So we'll see you next time. Thanks again. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Attention real estate investors and entrepreneurs. Did you know that real estate investors are a primary target for lawsuits? According to the National Survey of the Court data, 25% of Americans risk being sued in their lifetime. However, if you are a real estate investor, you have a 95% chance of being sued in the next 20 years. Leafy Legal Services helps you protect your assets and strategically grow your business and wealth. Leafy Legal Services are experts at the Series LLC and Delaware Statutory Trust, two of the newest and most ideal legal structures for real estate investors. Leafy Legal Services have the most personalized and affordable solutions for setting up LLCs. Property owners are always at risk when it comes to their assets. Anonymity is so important. If you own just a rental house and you own your home, you have to protect yourself and your properties from any potential legal issues. Leafy Legal Services have the right solutions to make sure you are happy and feel secure. They offer cost-effective documentation that suits their clients' needs. For a free consultation and ebook, visit leafylegalservices.com. They are waiting to hear from you. leafylegalservices.com.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Don't wait. Take action now. LeafyLegalServices.com. Protect your assets, grow your business, and manage your wealth.